Hi, I'm Eric Knowles, president of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, and this is another Member Connection. But before we get started, a word from one of our sponsors.
This is garbage, and you probably think all of it just goes to waste. But in Miami-Dade, we convert most of what you throw away into energy. In our waste-to-energy facility, we can turn about 90% of your everyday garbage into reusable fuel.
Levels look good.
That creates clean electricity for our community. Enough energy to power 35,000 homes. Pretty illuminating, huh? In Miami-Dade, nothing goes to waste.
Hi, and welcome back to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. I always tell you I'm excited, and I got a reason to be excited today. We're going to talk about money. I'm going to introduce you to my guest today, Miss Myrlande Simeon, and she's going to tell you who she's with. I know who she's with. You're going to learn today about who she is and what she brings to the table. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. You know, I could have told the folks all about who you are and what you do and the organization that you represent, but I think it's amazing that you're here, and the organization that you represent has been around a long time, doing some amazing work in our community, in particular the Black community. So let the folks know who you are, first of all, and then we'll talk about that organization.
Alrighty. Again, my name is Myrlande Simeon, but I do go by Landy. I'm the new regional director here for this company that you speak of, providing, financial literacy, financial resources to primarily the Black community. So again, our goal is to assure that we're able to help our folk and ensuring that they have the knowledge to hold the capacity to, to maintain financing.
Right. And I know this organization's been around a long time. They were formed through the state, and some banks came together to help support that. So let the folks know who you're here representing.
So I'm here representing the Black Business Investment Fund, also known as BBIF.
The Black Business Investment Fund.
Correct.
That's pretty strong.
It is very, very strong. And that, as you mentioned, Mr. Knowles, we've been here over 30 years.
30 years.
Yes, over 3 decades.
Wow.
3 decades.
And I am sure a lot of folks do not know that you even exist.
They don't.
And that's why we're here today, to tell our members, tell our community about BBIF. So what is BBIF?
So BBIF is a CDFI. And basically...
So wait a minute now. You're going from BBIF to CDFI. So what is a CDFI?
So CDFI is it's a bank, right?
Okay.
But they provide financing, but it's a community development financial investment firm. So basically, that's what the acronym stands for.
Right.
So what it does is the government basically, like you just mentioned, got all these companies together and said, hey, we need resources in our community, and we need a company or people that's going to be able to relate to the people in that community. So one of our CFO, which is Miss Inez Long, who's been over the program close to about the 30 years.
Wow.
Right. So she started this particular company over in Orlando.
Okay.
So predominantly they've been, dominating it there. Then moving forward, we opened a location up in Jacksonville. And then we've seen the presence and the need for the people here in South Florida. So we extended the branch down here,
right,
to expand these resources to our clients down here. Now, what these CDFIs, these are government type entities that the government says, hey, we're going to trust you or entrust with you to provide the resources and the finances to people in different communities. So now there's different types of CDFIs. Mm-hmm. There's CDFIs that may be able to only allocate their services to, Black and brown communities. We have to Latino communities, to the women, to the LGBTQ. So that's very different CDFIs.
Okay.
Right? Now, I've worked for a major financial institution in my previous role for 10 years. And not being able to help the people that I'm servicing, the areas that I'm covering, was very, in a sense, it hurt in a little
It's
bit.
challenging.
It was very, very challenging.
Right.
And coming across, and you're having individuals where you're looking at them knowing that there's not much you can do for them in that capacity.
Right.
So a company like a BBIF, Mr. Knowles example, you have a dream, you want to start up a business, and you're like, hey, but I don't have the resources. If you can show that you believe in your dream first, right, which I mentioned to all entrepreneurs, if you can definitely show, hey, I've invested maybe whatever amount of money it is into my business, but I don't have enough to push it forward. You bring us your projections, you bring us your business plan, we look at it and we say, hey, let's see what type of capital that we can provide you. We have about 7 different loan programs.
Okay.
Right? We are partnered with the SBA. So if you do go to the SBA website, we are affiliated partner with them. So again, with BBIF, helping individuals in our community is the number one resource. Is the number one tactic that we have. And also we want to make sure that the financial literacy is there. So that's what sets us apart from different financial institutions with our technical assistance program.
Okay.
So we don't only just provide you the loan. So we give you the money, but you have to get the education behind it, and it's mandatory that you get it.
Right. So now you mentioned if a person had an idea and they've thought it through and they've accumulated some funds to help get that started. So can this be a startup? Or does the business have to have a track record in order to come to you and possibly get a loan?
Right. Great question. So it depends, right? So I have clients that call me and they say, oh my God, I had an amazing dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this dream is going to take off and I need $500,000.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
Okay.
It doesn't work that way. So when we mean startup, it's saying, hey, I did my due diligence.
Okay.
I did my research. I did my market research. I did my competitor research. And let's say I want to throw an ice cream shop out there. I make the best ice cream. Okay, great. That's a great idea. Mm-hmm. So what have you put into this? Here are my projections. Let's say where you're working now, right? My job now or my career now is what's helping funding it, but it's not going to be suffice. So that's something we'll take into consideration as an example, as a startup, right? We want to show that you have some skin in the game too, right? So now we're not telling you like other financial institutions saying, hey, startup, we want 2 years of tax returns or a year of tax returns. Okay. We need to show that you have some type of skin in the game. So that's basically, hopefully that answers your question.
No, it does. What I hear you saying is you also put in place that a company, because you are a company, you or individual, but you're forming a company, you have a company, but you have to go through your technical assistance to ensure that you're managing those dollars right.
Absolutely.
So the one thing that I know in our community and probably many communities, whether it's the Black community, the brown community, when the pandemic hit, a lot of us were left out. And a lot of us were left out because, as I say, they didn't have the back of their house together. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that a little bit. What did you see out there as, a person managing a BBIF and companies, going through the pandemic? What were the challenges that you saw?
Just as you mentioned, Eric, it's a lot of the companies didn't have their financial documentation in order, which hence, again, why it's so important to have the technical assistance, right? Now, during the pandemic, a lot of these major financial institutions, you can get your banker on the phone to save your lives, right? Now, these small mom and pop, institutions are like, this is their life. This is their livelihood. The pandemic hit them, I feel specifically in a different way, right? So the way BBIF came in and said, you can actually call your individual officer, your loan officer directly, right? And with that TA program, with that TA team, is saying, hey, Mr. Knowles, example, it seems as if you're missing this, this, and this. Here we have accountants, we have CPAs that we are affiliated with that's willing to help you get this in order to push this for you in time to save your business, right? I want to stress the fact that here at BBIF, our default rate is less than 3%.
Okay.
In order to get people to pay 97% of the time,
Right. That's not easy.
It's really not. And the reason why is because the education behind it is educating our people, letting them know that it's not as hard as you guys make it seem.
Right.
It's just getting the education around it. So during that time, that's how we were able to help them.
And then a lot of, and I say it all the time, you have to build relationships.
Yes.
A lot of businesses were not able to access funds because they did not have a relationship with those banks that you talk about.
Right.
They may have had deposits in the bank, but did not build a business relationship. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So relationships are important in every aspect of your life, especially your money. Right? The person managing your money, that needs to be your best friend. If you ask me, that needs to be your best friend. You need to have that person on speed dial, right? Just like your spouse, I feel like outside of, your immediate family, that person should be next. That's the person managing your money, right? Once your money is not there, your livelihood is gone, right? So relationships are extremely important, right? And setting the right expectations and managing expectations is our, a colleague of mine that also works for BBIF, Miss Kalina up in North Florida, she always tells me that managing the individual's expectations. And what that does is it allows you, hey, Mr. Knowles, this is what we need. This is what we need. This is how but educating you, right? Now that relationship becomes different. Whereas you're saying, hey, you know what, Mr. Knowles, I need you to donate, or make a deposit of $500,000 in this account to save my quarter this year. That's basically how it goes. It's a numbers game. Whereas, hey, how are you? How's your family? It's your birthday. Happy birthday. I know you have your kids, your grandkids. However, how are they? Knowing them on the first name basis. And that's the difference that sets us apart here at BBIF.
Okay. So when we first started talking, you talked about you have basically 7 different products.
Right.
You want to talk and tell us what some of those are?
Absolutely. So a few are very popular items. Here we have the microloan, right?
Okay.
So the microloan is typically for our startups, businesses that are in a startup phase. And let me be very specific in what startup time frame is. A startup can go anywhere from 0 months to 2 years.
Okay.
That's the startup phase. So for individuals that might not know, they might think they're in business for 2 years. They're adequate to get the financing. Typically, you don't start making money till after the 2-year mark, if you want to be honest, right?
Okay.
So we have the microloan to kind of help with that. So if you need working capital, you need payroll expenses, you may need, equipment purchasing, and that goes up to $100,000.
Okay.
Right. So this is more smaller. These are clients that kind of need maybe $20,000, $50,000, that amount. So we have the microloan. We have the SOAR loan, right? So the SOAR loan is for clients that have been impacted by COVID and might need, the resources to kind of, get back on their feet. And, we have our general business loan. This is our bigger loans that we can kind of service clients that, process that need up to $3 million.
Wow.
So, yeah. So
wait, excuse me. Hold on. Folks, did you hear that? I think the number was up to $3 million.
Right.
Talk about that a little bit.
Right. So a lot of individuals, when they seek businesses like ours or CDFIs, they typically assume that, we can only help them on a smaller capacity. Right. Now we're able to help right now currently up to 3 million and working to work that number up for clients, that are in a higher threshold. Now, you have to understand there's certain clients that might need their business it requires unique circumstances, whereas other banks or financial institutions, they just kind of look at, black and white. You made X, Y, Z, and your company's this. We have a unique way or approach on the way that we underwrite our loans, right? We take everything into consideration. You might have businesses or collateral that we may use that, that might offset to show that you can support the loan, whereas other businesses or other financial institutions, my apologies, just strictly focus on the revenue. So this is where, we're able to kind of push that limit. And usually those high ticket dollar loans are people that need owner occupied space, like real estate space, trying to buy a commercial building.
Okay.
We literally just closed on a loan for 1.2 million last week.
Okay.
Right. For a very prominent organization down here in South Florida. I'm very excited to share. So we do have the capacity to go up to 3 million.
Wow. So That's a lot of money, these days. For a business to be able to access $3 million, that goes a long way. What type of businesses do you not support or serve?
Another great question. Of course, we have to protect the brand as well, because at the end of the day, BBIF is still, being very political here, it's still a business.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have to protect the brand. So, anything dealing with, narcotics, nudity, things, things of like gambling, just the typical,
Right.
the typical things that you would like, the I know the marijuana business is doing pretty good, but we're not supporting that right now.
You're not?
No, unfortunately, not.
Yeah,
not
you see
not
them.
right
You
now.
see them everywhere.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
They're getting there.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably because they're still not recognized federally, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and how long have you been in banking?
I've been in banking for over a decade, so over 10 years. Again, I was a VP at another financial institution, and then recently joined the BBIF family. So yeah, a close over 10 years.
Okay. And so what are your goals here? You're in South Florida now. As I said, you started in Orlando, you got based in Jacksonville. So what are your goals for South Florida?
So my goal for South Florida, and I want to be very specific, I was born and raised here in Miami-Dade,
Okay.
right? So being born and raised here in particular communities, me personally, my family personally has been impacted by not being recognized and not being or having the resources to bring their business to the next level, again, because they just didn't know. Right. My goal is to educate or inform as many people down here in South Florida about what BBIF does, right? Because unfortunately, we just, we see these bigger brands and think that's all we have. And these are the only folks that can help us. And that's not the case. So my goal is to assure that all entrepreneurs down here in South Florida know that there's different options. You don't just have to go down, this lane. There's multiple lanes that you can kind of take to get you down the same route. So, we are very reputable business. We've been in here, like we stated earlier, over 3 decades.
Right.
30 years in business is not a small amount of time. No. And helping over, thousands of other businesses that we've been able to help them build their dreams. So my goal here in South Florida is to assure the people here that we can help them, we will help them, and we will continue to help them.
Right. And I know there are CDFIs, small CDFIs here in Miami. And the one thing we talk about is graduating from the CDFI and then doing business with the larger banks. Right. Can you talk about that just a little bit before we wrap up?
Correct. So we're currently, we have connection with bigger banks. Like you name them, we have affiliation with them.
Right.
And they do help us both locally and on the national level.
Right.
Why? Because they do recognize that CDFIs have major impact in these particular communities, and they're out of reach. I want to be very frank about it. They're just out of reach, and they need individuals that look like the other individuals to go into these communities to help with their resources. So, like you just stated, yes, we are working to go to that next level. But in the meantime, we are affiliated with a lot of these bigger brands to say, hey, listen, guys, you need to help these people down here, and let us help you guys do that.
So if someone wants to get in touch with you?
So if you want to get in touch with me, you can definitely first and foremost reach me on my email, which is msimeon, which is M as in Mary, SIMEON @BBIF.com. And my direct phone number, which I don't usually do, but I'm going to do that because I really trust the people here. So my phone number directly is 305-570-2681. But most importantly, if you can go to our website, which is BBIF.com. which is B as in boy, IF.com. And they have all our resources there.
And if you want to know more about the chamber, go to www.m-dcc.org or call the chamber at 305-751-8648. This has been great. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.